2024 was the year no one saw coming for the Indiana Fever, a team battered by brutal losses, an exhausting schedule, and plummeting morale transformed into one of the most inspiring comeback stories in WNBA history. And at the center of it all, Lexie Hull, a player who went from near invisibility to becoming one of the E-League's deadliest shooters. But how did this struggling team, once on the brink of collapse, turn into championship contenders? Let's dive into the drama, the grit, and the game-changing moments that defined the Fever season. Lexie Hull starts the story by recalling the chaos of the season's first 20 days. It was brutal, she admits. 11 games in just 3 weeks. The physical and mental toll was relentless. Ice packs became their best friends, while late-night bus rides and sleepless nights became routine. Hull shakes her head at the memory. You'd finish a game at 2 a.m., only to have another the next night. And the results showed. Losses piled up, and the team plummeted to a 2-11 start. Fans and critics alike were questioning if the Fever would ever recover. Hull's shooting percentage dropped to an embarrassing 11% from beyond the arc, far from her sharpshooting days at Stanford. I'd sit in the gym alone after games, trying to figure out what went wrong, she recalls. Every missed shot felt like a personal failure. Coach Christie Sides stepped in with a pivotal move. Instead of yelling or demanding better performances, she simply listened. In a 3-hour meeting, players poured out their frustrations, doubts, and fears. Veterans shared war stories of past struggles, while rookies confessed their worries about not being good enough. It felt like a weight was lifted off our shoulders, Hull says. That meeting changed everything. The next day, the team's approach shifted. They stopped obsessing over the scoreboard and started celebrating the little victories. An extra pass, a solid defensive stop, a teammate's hustle. Coach Sides encouraged them to play for each other, not just for the win. Slowly but surely, their confidence began to grow. The real turning point came on May 25, 2024, against Las Vegas, the league's powerhouse. Nobody expected the Fever to compete, let alone win. Hull wasn't even slated for major minutes. But then, something clicked. Her first three-pointer swished through the net, then another, and another. By the time her fourth one hit, the crowd was on its feet, roaring her name. I felt like I was in a different zone, Hull recalls, smiling. That night, the Fever didn't just beat the odds, they found their identity. Hull's performance was symbolic of the team's newfound belief. They could compete with anyone, and then everything changed again. Caitlin Clark, the college phenom everyone was buzzing about, joined the Fever midseason. From the moment she walked into practice, the energy in the gym was electric. It was like nothing we'd ever seen, Hull says. Clark's game was on another level. She'd find passing angles that shouldn't exist, putting the ball in Hull's hands before she even realized she was open. With Clark drawing defenders, Hull suddenly had more space than ever to shoot. Playing with Caitlin is like a cheat code, Hull laughs. She makes the game easier for everyone around her. Under the guidance of Coach Sides and Clark's leadership, Hull's shooting skyrocketed to an incredible 47.1% from three-point range. But it wasn't just the stats that improved. It was the bond within the team. Midnight practices became their secret weapon. Players who didn't see much game time pushed the starters, while veterans mentored rookies. We became more than teammates, Hull says. We became a family. New traditions brought the team even closer. After every game, win or lose, they'd gather in the locker room and share something they were proud of and something they learned. It sounds simple, but it changed everything, Hull reflects. We stopped focusing on what we couldn't do and started celebrating what we could. By the end of the season, the Fever weren't just competing, they were winning. The team that had once been dismissed as a lost cause was now a threat to even the best in the league. Fans who had given up hope were back in the stands, louder than ever. The Indiana Fever had become a symbol of resilience, proving that even the toughest starts can lead to triumphant finishes. Hull's story mirrored the team's rise. From hesitating to take open shots to becoming one of the most reliable three-point shooters in the league, she embodied the grit and determination that defined the Fever's season. Her secret? Hard work, trust in her teammates, and the confidence to rise above the doubts.